Hi, my name is David Martin. I'm President Emeritus of the Colchester Hayward Volunteer Fire Company. I'd like to take you through some highlights of our fire museum today. Our benefactor, Nathaniel Hayward, was a big manufacturer in town. He was the biggest employer because he ran the Hayward Rubber Company, which was located down at the bottom of Lebanon Avenue in the area of Sunshine Cycles and an international package store. It was because of Mr. Hayward's business that Colchester gained rail service into Colchester. The spur that comes off of the airline trail in Hebron and all the way into Colchester was to move Mr. Hayward's products out into the market. He was one of the biggest employers in Colchester. At the time, there was a lot of Irish immigrants coming into the nation through Boston and New York. Colchester, being in the middle of both cities, had a large Irish population. They tended to make their homes around the rubber factory in the area that is called Dublin. The Dublin section of Colchester was because of the Irish immigrants. And also now there's a little place on Lebanon Avenue, a housing area called Dublin Village. So Mr. Hayward had this terrific business going, but at a time he didn't have any fire equipment. So Mr. Hayward, all he had was these little fire buckets that you see down there to make a bucket brigade. They weren't very effective in fighting fire, especially anything over a second story building. So Mr. Hayward went to the town fathers and made them a proposal. And Mr. Hayward offered if the town would purchase a piece of firefighting equipment, Mr. Hayward would furnish it with 500 feet of hose and dozens of buckets in order to fill this machine with water so that it would become an effective piece of firefighting equipment. And so in 1854, Colchester received its first piece of firefighting equipment, which was this Hooneman hand pumper made in Boston, Massachusetts. This machine was never horse-drawn. It was always a hand-drawn piece of apparatus. So you might imagine the difficulty it would take, especially through unpaved streets, through mud, through snow, getting this piece of fire equipment to an emergency scene. And it was always just used in the borough. You can imagine this could never make it out to an emergency at Westchester. It would probably take you a day. And just a foundation would all that would be remaining. Okay, so this piece of firefighting equipment, the first in Colchester, was made by the Hooneman Fire Engine Company in Boston, Massachusetts. It made its way here on train, and basically how it works is it was always hand-drawn to fire emergencies, and once it got to an emergency, these big poles over here, which are normally this way, you turn this way, which gets spread out like this, and people pump this machine front and back. And what that does is, as this is going up and down like this regulates the pressure so that when the water comes out of the hose, it's not coming out in spurts as the machine is pumping. Spurt, spurt, spurt. This makes sure that the water comes out in a steady stream, a straight stream. So the more people you had pumping, the higher and the further your stream of water would go. Again, this piece of fire equipment in Colchester was in use for 70 years before they got their first motorized piece of fire equipment in 1924 chemical wagon, Rio. officers had to use this at a fire scene. As you might imagine, it was very chaotic to have his voice heard. Okay, let's get some more hose up around the back. Find another water source. Make sure you guys check the 3rd floor. You get the idea of the benefit of having an officer speaking trumpet at an emergency scene.